Hello, welcome to the I Am General Listen, the Healing Rebel podcast. Today I have Pamela L Fitness on to have a conversation. I'm really excited about this. So I've known Pamela just from a distance, and we've met through the Glasgow Girls Club and met in person sort of more recently. And when I've been in her company, I'm like, I just love this woman. I love what she talks about and her energy and everything about her. So I asked her to be on the podcast and she is here. Yay! So excited. So thank you very much for joining us, Pamela. So why don't you do a better intro to you, who you are and what you do in the world?
Okay, thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting. Yeah, so I have been in fitness since I was 19 and I am 45 now. So that's a little while. I am a personal trainer, I'm a nutrition coach, I'm a fitness instructor, and I put all of that into my business is now fully online. So yeah, as of last week, actually, I do it fully online, which is pretty cool. I do one-to-one coaching. I am working on an 8-week plan. My plan was to launch that at the start of May. Yeah, that is the start of May. It's not quite ready. And yeah, I have a membership as well. So I think I'm all about just feeling amazing and really confident and really looking after yourself and being in the best shape you can be, because it makes life so much better.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I was just scrolling through some of your more recent Instagram posts before we connected there. And what I love about the way you deliver stuff is you keep it real. It's not about perfection. It's about living in the real world and in real life. Have you always been like that?
Yeah. I get some pushback from it because I'm pretty much like no bullshit, and it's, we can't all go for perfection all the time. Like, life is shit happens constantly and you have to deal with it, but you have to keep going. So it's always doing your best and always feeling really happy that you've done that. Like, if you're aiming for something really big, like say something simple like my habits, one of my habits is 6 to 9 portions of fruit and veg a day. Now, if you're going from nothing to aiming for that, you're not going to reach it. But what you're going to do is feel crap because you haven't reached it, and you're going to beat yourself up over it. You're going to think, there's no point in doing anything else. Well, I tried and I failed and I'm terrible. Like, no, you started at 0, go to 1. And go to 1 every second day and then build it up that way. It's like I teach a circuits class for a group of ladies that are amazing. And some of them are like, am I doing this right? And they get quite hung up on the technique and the small details. I'm like, do you know what? Are you moving? Are you having fun? Are you safe? Yeah, you're fine. Just do it.
Yeah, I get that a lot in Pilates because people say, like, I've seen people online, like in the Glasgow Girls Club, I'm looking for a proper Pilates class. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? Because I teach a proper Pilates class, but I'm not dogmatic about how alignment should be, because everybody's physical body is different. And what looks like alignment to one person might be completely out of alignment. So you have to be able to tune in and listen to your own body. Are you moving in a way that feels nice in your body? Perfect. Then yes, you're good.
A really good example of that, I go to a lot of Pilates classes and I have my favourite instructor, and then there's some people that cover, and she looked at my feet, and she's an ex-dancer, and she looked at my feet and she thought my foot was wrong. My foot is wrong because it's been broken, and I didn't see her coming, and she tried to correct it and it's still sore, and that was about 2 weeks ago. It's still sore. So yeah, everybody's bodies are different, and it's very much like Pilates and yoga. You can't compare yourself to anyone else. And I struggle with a lot of yoga because I get really long legs. But there's no point in me saying, oh, well, I can't do it like she does it, and I can't do this, and I can't do that. So what? That's because I've got really long legs. Like, what am I going to do about it? Nothing. I can still go and try my best and do the rest of it and enjoy it anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's like a big problem, especially when maybe you see other people doing things online and you go, oh, I want to do that exercise, I want to do this, I want to do that. If your limb proportions are different to theirs, like the ratio of your forearm to your upper arm or your thigh to your shin is different, then you're not going to be, some moves your body just physically can't do no matter how hard you try.
Yeah, and even something basic like a squat, because I'm 5'10". If I stood next to someone at 5 foot, if we were keeping to the beat of the music in a class, I'd be going fast and they'd be going quite slow because they don't have as far to move.
Yeah.
There's things like that. And it was actually, I did a rehab video this morning for a couple of my clients that get sore knees. And there was one I did, and I was like, Joe, people do this on Instagram because it looks like, oh wow, what's she doing? I'm like, it's dead simple. So don't look at it and get freaked out. Be like, I can't do that. You can do it, and it's good for you. But you know, people do it all the time because it looks impressive. It's actually not. It's pretty simple.
But so many things that are so effective are simple.
Yeah.
You need to complicate it, and I think we get bored. Like, I get bored of saying the same stuff all the time over and over again, but that same stuff is what works.
Yeah, it's effective. It's what works. It's what's going to give you the impact. So you just need to accept being bored. And people will do it with food as well. They get into a really great routine with food. They're losing weight. They're feeling amazing. Everything's going well. And then they think, I'm bored. Like, no, be bored. Go and get fun somewhere else in your life. Be bored with your food. Like, that is okay.
I know, but do you think that it's because social media is so fast and everything's like, there's so much choice and so much variety now that, because I remember when I was wee, I'm just a wee bit older than you, when I was wee, my mum had our menu set out and we had the same thing every week. Monday was macaroni, Tuesday was spaghetti bolognese, Wednesday was this, Thursday was that, and we just had that on rotation. And then the soup would change depending on what fruit and veg was in. Obviously not put fruit in soup, but whatever veg was in season. So in winter you had potato and leek, in summer you had whatever, mixed fish.
I think it's shiny object syndrome. You know, you see the next shiny thing, you're like, oh, I want that and I want that. So I have a client and she's amazing, but she watches reels and she doesn't fall for the advertising, but she thinks, oh, this looks good and that looks good. And she'll try and go for all these different things. And I'm like, calm down, just focus on what you're doing, put the blinkers on and keep going because you're doing amazing. And the more you're like, she'll come out with, oh, I'm going to buy an air fryer and I'm going to buy this ice cream thing and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it's like, get it.
Save your money.
Yeah, 100%. Save your money, save your time. And, you know, it's like the walking pads. I did a post about that because a couple of people say, what do you think of walking pads? And I'm like, you've got a front door, haven't you? Which mummy say. So yeah, if you're not going for a walk outside, what makes you think you're going to get on this walking pad? You're not.
Yeah, and it's walking outside has got so many more benefits.
Yeah.
You're on mixed terrain, you've got fresh air, you've got sunlight, you've got maybe nature, or you meet other people, there's community connection just being outside. Whereas if you're looking at the same four walls that you work in, if you work from home, it's
even your eyesight, no one ever thinks of that, but your eyesight on a walk, you're gonna get the break from the screen, your mental breaks that you're getting. There just is no comparison, really. Moving your legs. The only time I can see being of benefit is if you've got a standing desk. I can't do it because I get travel sickness if I'm trying to walk and then read something at the same time. Like, I'm just going to feel really nauseous, so I don't do it. But yeah, if it's sitting down or walking at your desk, maybe walking at your desk is better. Apart from that, nah, go outside.
Get outside. I mean, just when you said there about the eyesight thing, about having a break from your screen, other than like the lights that are getting put into your screen, also the distance. If you're always looking at something that's that distance, the muscles in your eyes are getting weaker. So when you go outside, you're looking at things that are all different distances, so the muscles in your eyes are working so much better. I forgot about that until you mentioned that there.
Everyone does.
Yeah, because I had a conversation with my optician the last time I was in getting my eyes tested, because I said to him about the light that was in the room. I was like, this light in here is really bright and it's hurting my eyes and that changes how I see things. And he was like, but it's a daylight bulb. And I went, but it's not the same as daylight. It's like, because the spectrum of the sun, the light intensity changes. I mean, and also I never look at anything from this distance. but if I'm reading a book, I've got my book in front of me and I've got an amber light on. If I put a bright white light, I'm not going to be able to see. He was like, right, well, this is just how we do the eye tests.
That's helpful.
Like, okay, so your eye test is not really valid then for me, because it's not the environment that I read in.
Yeah. He needs to adapt.
Yeah, but
He knows nothing about opticians, but yeah, it sounds like he needs to adapt.
Yeah, but there's also this need for everything being standardized, and I'm even thinking back to when we did our personal training qualifications and everything. There was a certain way that you did everything because you could repeat it and
it's a checklist.
have a measured result. Whereas when you're actually dealing with real people, you then go, well, everything that I've learned just doesn't actually fit in this environment, so we need to adapt it and change it.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. So you had some health stuff similar. Well, I don't know what your health stuff was, but 2017 for me, I had a big health thing and I had to redo my whole business. So I had to adapt to that environment. How much of you and how much of that story do you want to share, and what have you done differently since?
Yeah, I changed everything. Everything. I had to. So I got out 2023, sort of springtime, summertime. I knew something wasn't right. I didn't know what it was, but I knew something wasn't right. And I went to my GP and I said, it's organ pain. I've done enough shit to myself. I know it's not what it's not. It's not soft tissue. It's not bone. It's organ pain. Like, I have a gallbladder removed. So, like, it's that kind of pain. And he sort of examined me, felt around me, completely missed the issue, took bloods and said, your bloods are okay. And I said, right, that's a problem. Doctors never say my bloods are okay. Doctors will say, your bloods are great. I wish mine were as good as that. Their text, whatever. Like, there's so much more than just okay. And he said, well, if it doesn't go away, come back next month. Well, next month, I basically woke up covered in blood. It was an emergency situation. I was very unwell. I spent the next 5 months in and out of A&E, the doctors constantly. I was on a lot of medication, waiting for this surgery, going through the tests, having MRIs. Is this cancer? Is it not? When am I getting the surgery? And yeah, so my business sort of collapsed overnight because physically I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. I kept 2 clients on, one that had been with me for ages and she's still with me now. She's online, liver to bits. Another one because she was a doctor. And it was when the doctor said to me, we need to stop doing sessions. I can't in good conscience continue working with you, because she could see how much pain I was in. I was turning up. And she asked me, I knew she was going to do it, because one day she said to me, so what is your treatment? What medications are you taking and things? And I told her and she was like, yeah, she's like, you can't be doing this. I'm like, I've got bills to pay. I don't have a husband and no one else is doing anything for me. Like, I am on my own. But
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? So that was quite scary. But I had my surgery and it was a massive surgery. It was my big surgery anyway. They called it major and they called it complex. And it was open surgery and recovery was going to be a long time anyway. The surgery itself went well. And then when I was in hospital, my bowels shut down. I had internal bleeding. I had an infection. There was a couple of other things, like everything that could go wrong kind of went wrong. I think my body just had 5 months of being really unwell. Like, my liver wasn't functioning properly. One of my kidneys wasn't functioning at all. Lots of stomach issues. It affected everything. Like, I lost a lot of hair. I think my body after surgery was just like, nah, we're done. We can't do it. So yeah, I remember the kind of one of the days in hospital, the Saturday. I had my surgery on the Wednesday, it was a Saturday. And clearly me not being completely with it. And it woke up and there's like 6 doctors around my bed. And that should alarm anybody. But I'm like, hi. So nothing to worry about, but we think you've got a wee spot of internal bleeding and we're going to give you a transfusion. I'm like, thank you. I'm just like, whatever, head in the clouds. Because someone asked me afterwards, did you realise how ill you were? It's like, no. I did think it was a bit weird. My mum hadn't gone home. Like, my mum came and she didn't leave. She was there like the whole day and night, and I'm like, why are you still here? So I thought that was a bit strange, but yeah. So it was 6 months before I felt back to normal. My surgeon said it would be 3 to 4 months just to heal, to recover. Because I was thrown up in hospital, I opened my skirt. I've got a big skirt from my belly button down to my pubic bone. And that had opened, so there was that issue, and that's what caused internal bleeding, I think. And so it was 6 months before I felt like me again.
Yeah. 6 months is still quick from having had major surgery.
Yeah. I worked hard. I started physio in hospital because I was in bed for 4 days. Just walking to the bathroom and back. I think the first time they took me to the shower, they had to wheel me back because I was going to faint. And I remember them physios walking me up and down the stairs because I couldn't get up and down the stairs. Getting up was all right. I was quite scared about coming down. It was okay. And then even just getting out, like to the ward door and getting down the lift was, so yeah, I had to change my whole business. And it was one of those ones that even at the time, I thought, I'm going to look back on this and it's going to be it's going to be good. I'm going to look back and say, maybe not that I'm glad that happened, but I'm glad that something happened to give me the push. Would I have preferred it was something positive? Absolutely. But yeah, it didn't.
Did you ever change anything when everything's positive? We never make change when things are positive.
Yeah. Like, why does life have to be so hard? Why does it have to be such a big negative thing to inspire change in us? Why can't we just change when things are good but we want to be better? That would be the ideal time to change. So, and I think it was starting physio in a hospital, and partly because my back was killing me. And I remember being in bed one night and my back was so sore because I was lying on my back for surgery for, I think my surgery was 3.5, 4 hours. And then being in bed for so long, it was just so painful. And I remember lying there in the middle of the night and I'm like, I'm a personal trainer. I know how to fix this. I can do this. And I got up and I got towels. Because the towels outside the bathroom, and I rolled up the towels like a foam roller.
Yeah.
And I just put that in all different places in my body and just lay there. So I think it was that moment of me realising I can fix this. I know what to do.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I'm doing it. And before my surgery, I had made a plan of my recovery. I knew when I was going for walks. I knew, the little timetable of when I was going to do my physio. I was going to work out my painkillers. I knew how I was going to progress it. So I had it all planned out, which really helped. And then having the contact of the physios, and they would say to me, like, you know more about exercise than me do. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know about this. Like, I don't know about what I've just been through, you do. So it's that reassurance. And even coaches need coaches.
That's so not reassuring when when you're like, you're the physiotherapist, you're meant to be, you're revered as like the god of movement according to the NHS, and then you go and see them and they're like, oh, you're a Pilates instructor, you're a personal trainer, you know better than me. Well, why are you getting paid the big bucks and I'm slogging my guts out to try and be respected? What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That just blows my mind that one profession, and I know amazing physios, but they have gone above and beyond what their initial training is because they are interested, maybe they're sporty themselves or whatever, so they've put in so much more education. So my partner works for one of the big football clubs and he can't get a full-time contract because he's not a physio, but he's more experienced and has better knowledge than the people who are physios that are getting brought in and given full-time contracts.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's a bit of paper. it should be the knowledge and experience. What the fuck?
Yeah, and it makes sense that a personal trainer would know more about exercise and movement than a physio, but physios know more, I think, about rehab, and particularly because it was a specialist physio I had, she knows more about the type of surgery I'd had. Like, we don't know about surgery. I can rehab someone's knee after an injury, that I can do, but surgery recovery, I was like, I don't have experience of that. So, and I was trying to read studies and different things, which normally my brain would have been fine with, but at that time, I can't do this. Yes, I needed just that conversation of saying, like, this is what I'm doing, what do you think? And then saying, yeah, that's fine. And I'm like, okay, got it. But it was, so that was the 31st of January of my surgery. The first week in February, I was in hospital. And then it was the 9th of April that I left the house and went into town and went to co-working with GGC, actually. So that is my official date of getting back to work. And I remember walking from, I think I walked from Mitchell Street up to Blytheswood Square. We were up at the Blytheswood, and yeah, my legs were still really wobbly, like super, super wobbly. But I was like, I'm doing this. This is amazing. And I was on the phone to my mum, like 8 in the morning or something, 9 in the morning. Yeah, I think I stayed the whole day. My brain stopped working after about half an hour, but I stayed the whole day, and it was sitting on a chair for the first time and all of those kind of things. But yeah, so my business was a complete change. And I needed to know that if something was to happen to me again, that I would still have an income, that I would still be okay, that I could cope with it. So I had that vision, I had the plan to be fully online. I did not expect it to happen last week. So yeah, that was fun. So I was a little bit worried, and I was more worried about, because my client that was still training in the gym, it was spurred on by a change in the gym, and I didn't know how she was going to cope with it, and that's what worried me. But she was a little bit upset first. Then she's like so determined. She's like, you know what, I'm not going to let that hold me back. I'm still going to go. I'm still going to do it. And I'm amazing, brilliant. So she's an online one-to-one now, and yeah, she's killing it. So that makes me feel like, okay, now I can celebrate. Now I can feel good about it.
That's amazing. Now I'm just thinking about your recovery journey and how quickly you recovered from that surgery, because you were strong to start with. So I've got a client who's a consultant anaesthetist, and she is always on her surgical team to speak to the patients about rehab, about pre-surgery, like rehabilitation, to get their body as strong and as fit as they physically can to help the recovery from surgery. Because I know when I first got diagnosed and I had my first massive flare, I recovered from that really, really quickly. And then after from between the second and the third flare, it took me ages to recover from it, because I hadn't been able to go back and do the gym and stuff, and I'd been scared to as well, even though I was feeling better. I was scared too. So that recovery between the second flare and the third flare took about 18 months to recover. So when after I'd had that third flare and saw how bad it impacted me and how long it took me to recover from it, I'm now like, right, I need to make myself as physically strong as I can, as well as all the other healthy stuff that I'm doing, because that physical strength really impacted that last flare and how long it took me to recover. Huge lesson. And that's something that she speaks to our surgical team about, is how important it is, that they poo-poo it. Like they're like, no, it doesn't, just get them on the bed.
Yeah, one of the things that terrified me, because NHS waiting lists are so long, and it wasn't a surgery I could go private for it, even if I had money. You would need to have astronomical amounts of money and travel for it. But was, if this goes on for much longer, what state am I going to be in? I won't be able to recover from this. It's going to get so much worse, and it was only 5 months and it was bad enough. And I think that says a lot about how ill I was, that I did get through that in 5 months. That NHS waiting list. But yeah, they kind of don't care, because they're just trying to save your life. And it's like aftercare as well. There's no aftercare for scars at all. It's like, well, what do I do with this now? Like there's nothing on NHS, and it's like, well, you're alive, aren't you? And that's it. It's a bare minimum. And I do understand why they're like that, and I do understand it to speak to most patients. I mean, I've had clients that I say, right, we're doing a quad stretch, and it's like, what's a quad? So for the NHS to be able to go that in depth with someone about prehab and rehab, it's almost too much for them. Like, because for me, I could say, well, why don't they just mention it to people and people can go and do it on their own? Because we know people don't go and do it on their own like we would, but most people wouldn't. Yeah, I think that would be a huge change within the whole structure of the NHS to do prevention, because they don't, and even their reaction to things is quite poor. So, you know.
Yeah, so I was at the British Society of Lifestyle Medicine conference in September, just past down in Newcastle, and there was a lecture there from one of the knee surgeons, and he said that for every single person on his waiting list, that they've all got a prehab programme to follow. They work with a physiotherapy department within the hospital, and by the time it comes to them actually having to come for surgery, 67% of them don't even need surgery because they've done prehab beforehand. And he's like, I'm obviously doing myself out of a job, but the waiting lists are so big on the NHS.
Yeah.
If information came from a doctor and said, you should look at doing this, this, and this, because that's going to help with your recovery, that's going to help this, I think there's more people that would listen than when they listen, like us, because doctors are
yeah, surgery should be a last resort. There's so many things you can do before that, but people don't do it. And I guess it's like with obesity. So there will be, I'm going to get hate for this, there will be women out there that are really seriously overweight, their lifestyle's awful, their diet's awful. They obviously get a lot of really bad symptoms from this. Their stomach's going to hurt, they're going to have skin issues, they're going to have so many issues. They're going to go to the doctor and they're going to say, I want something to fix me, there's got to be something wrong. And the doctor can say, no, it's your lifestyle, it's your diet, you need to lose weight. And like, my doctor's not taking me seriously, just tells me to lose weight. I'm like, yeah, because you need to lose weight. Like, you need to change your lifestyle. You need to go and be healthy. You need to go and sort your shit out. And I was just like, oh, but I just, I'm going to get a private blood test this time and they'll find something wrong with me and I'm going to take vitamins and that'll solve it all. And I'm just like, no. And so I think, yeah, because of the job we do, we get to see people when they're at that stage of wanting to change, they're ready to do it. Doctors get the sort of opposite ends of that, where people are refusing to take responsibility for themselves.
But then I've also heard
a popular thing to say, and I can't believe I'm saying that. But
I've also heard stories of people who are obese going to the doctors with issues, and the doctor hasn't mentioned their weight at all.
Really,
they just offered them painkillers or whatever, and said that there's nothing they can do and sent them away. And one particular person that I know who had experienced this requested through the Freedom of Information Act a copy of her medical records, and in the medical records two different doctors had written that they had discussed her weight with her, and she said they never mentioned my weight to me at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why did she think that was? Did she think they were too shy to approach it? Were they going to get backlash for approaching? Because people get quite defensive and argumentative.
Yeah, well, I don't know, because she's been to the doctor to ask for help with her weight, because she's tried food combining and various other types of diets, and she doesn't eat a lot of food. Like, I've been in her house and she doesn't have a lot of food in her house. And there's a lot of psychological stuff going on for her, and she knows that, and she's done the therapy that she can afford to do, but she's now at the point where she can't afford to do the therapy, and she's asking them for help for her weight, and they're just like, eat less and move more.
The help isn't there in NHS. It's not.
Yeah, it's difficult, but they'll happily say obesity is a disease, but then they're not doing anything to help.
Yeah, I think they can refer people to what I call the fat clubs, like Slimming World, Weight Watchers, that kind of thing, the fat clubs. They can do that, and they also do an exercise referral, which basically just gets you a free or a cheap gym membership with the council gym. But then they're not going to go. So, yeah. I do feel sorry for GPs because they really don't have a lot of time, and there often is psychological issues there. And I don't think it would be completely wrong for someone to say that obesity is a mental health issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're quite accepting of saying, well, the opposite end, anorexia, is a mental health issue. So we probably should accept that, for the most part, obesity probably is a mental health issue for most people.
Yeah.
They're not equipped to deal with that. They don't have the time to deal with it. They don't have someone to refer you on to. They don't have the resources for it. They're a little bit stuck.
Yeah. How much do you think that the mental health issue for obesity is caused by the foods that they've been eating, like the ultra processed foods, so they know all the chemicals and stuff? How much of that do you think changes the internal everything of the body, including the brain structure and how the brain fires, to then fuel that mental health issue?
I think it's probably the mental health issue that comes first.
Okay.
And then they eat all the crap. And then they feel like crap. So they eat more crap because they already feel like crap. And they're already overweight. And it's like, well, I'm fat anyway, might as well eat all the things. Mm-hmm. And then you start to feel really powerless and helpless, and you beat yourself up and you hate on yourself, and it's just a spiral. But that trigger in the first place is maybe, it could even just be that you've had a bereavement. It could be one that's really common that I was reading about recently is a study, or a couple of things, a peer review actually of studies that had found that sexual abuse in childhood leads very commonly to obesity in later life. And that kind of makes sense when you don't want to be seen. It's like, well, I make myself fat and then I can hide away from the world. But it's just, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And it keeps going. I don't know how you fix that. Who does? I don't, like, if it was an easy fix, we would be fixing it. We're not. Yeah. We're failing. Everybody's failing at it.
Yeah, and I do think though that there is, with the way that a lot of the foods are made, like I remember watching a documentary, and it was a group of food scientists that were like whistleblowers on one of the big companies, I can't remember which company it was, and they were like, they gave us a bunch of ingredients and wanted a particular part of the brain to ignite from it, so we played around with these ingredients or these chemicals, not knowing what the end goal for it was. And then they were working with like neuroscience people, and they had all these different departments. Can you tell me what part of the brain we need to trigger for this to be, for the addiction part to come in? All right, so what concoction of these chemicals make that part of the brain light up, so that you can then create this food that triggers that part of the brain to then make people not feel satisfied and crave it, and then they're spiraling, and you're like, how much of the food is like that? Because you know the big companies are doing it.
Yeah. It's like McDonald's is one. People just can't get their heads around it. You can go to McDonald's and eat 2,000 calories and you'll still be hungry.
And craving more.
Yeah, and craving more. Yeah. So it's a bit like drugs, isn't it? Don't start it. Don't take it in the first place. You know, just say no. Everyone that grew up in the 80s is like, just say no. It's like fizzy drinks, like Coke and stuff as well, is the same.
Yeah, it's not stuff. So when I was wee, we never really got stuff like that. It was very, very occasionally you would get stuff. And because it was so occasional, when I would have it, and I'd be like, I don't really like that. Because my palate wasn't craving that sort of...
Yeah, we were birthday parties, Coke and Iron Brew and birthday parties. Otherwise, it was Ribena and orange juice. But yeah, I did, as an adult, I drank a lot of 7-Up Free. Pretty much up until my surgery, actually, and then it was too heavy to buy. And even getting it delivered, I was like, I can't pick that up. So, yeah, stop.
Broke the cycle.
Yeah.
So you did a post recently on alcohol. What are your thoughts and feelings around alcohol?
So I don't drink at all, but I'm quite aware not to push that onto other people. Like, everyone has their own choice. It's pointless. Drinking alcohol is pointless.
Did you ever?
Yeah, I did. So when I was younger, I didn't really drink very much because I had my daughter when I was 19. So yeah, I wasn't getting out drinking all night, every night, and getting into states and all that kind of thing. I had responsibilities, and I didn't have a lot of money either, which helped, I think. I gave up in 2020. So during lockdown, people were just, drinking wine on a Tuesday at 11 a.m. for no reason other than they could, and the sun was out. And I think I wasn't drinking, like, because we live in the west of Scotland, right? No one would have thought I was drinking very much, but I was drinking more often than I wanted to. I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, it's not making me feel good. The next day I don't want to do a workout. I think there was one night I put in my Facebook, do you think wine will help with yoga? Like, do you think wine will make you more flexible? And I tried it. I did a yoga class online. Western wine, this is great. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm a bit bored of this now. I think it was a bit like aversion therapy. I just had enough. Decided to stop drinking. And I wasn't a big drinker anyway, because it does, when you like to go to the gym and work out, and I like to read books, and you can't do any of that when you're drinking. And you can't drive, which is a pain. So I told everyone around me that it was my New Year's resolution. I was going to do it for 12 months. And I knew I wasn't going to drink again, but I hoped that by telling people that, they would then get used to it and it would be fine. Because if I had just said, oh, I'm never drinking again, you know what it's like? People go, oh, just have fun. Oh, you will. If you get a problem, what happened? And it's like not that big of a deal. There is someone that I don't speak to anymore, because even come August, so it was way over 8 months, and she's like, oh, you're not coming out if you're not drinking, or just have one, or that kind of thing. And I'm like, why are we around each other? We're not. Bye later. So yeah. But it brings, when you get rid of old people, it always brings new people into your life. Better people. You have to change and evolve, and leave it behind you. So I didn't lose a whole lot of weight or anything like that. I think that happens when you're a regular drinker, if you're drinking a couple of nights a week. And you're also then sitting down on your couch and you're drinking and eating crisps and chocolate and all those kind of things, then yeah, it's going to make a difference to you. But yeah, it's just leads to problems. And that you're at risk of falling over and injuring yourself, which makes you, not great.
Yeah, I had a client in class yesterday and she was like, oh, I've still got this shoulder injury from when I fell when I was drunk, like years ago. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I stopped drinking more than 10 years ago now, and I'm surprised I didn't hurt myself, because I was a heavy drinker. And I started when I was very young as well. Partied very hard, but I just had one of those, I don't want to do this anymore, and I just stopped.
How old were you?
It was 2014, so I was 34, 35. But I mean, I'd given it a good 20 years of hardcore drinking.
So you were a party animal. I didn't know this about you.
Oh yes, I was a very, very hardcore party animal, starting a Wednesday, finishing a Tuesday.
Wow.
Yeah.
So life is better now.
Yes. And it was one of those moments where I was in Ibiza and I decided on this night I wasn't going to go out because I wanted to go up and see the sunrise. And it was like the second last night of my holiday, and there was no club nights that I really wanted to go to. So I was like, I'm just going to stay in tonight, have a chilled one, and go up and watch the sunrise tomorrow morning. And when I got up and went and watched the sunrise, I felt this feeling in my heart that made me go, this is what I'm looking for. And that's what I've been chasing when I was drinking all the time. So I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And then I went out that night, didn't have anything to drink, and had the best night I'd ever had in my life.
That's amazing.
Felt so happy.
That's pretty cool. That is a cool story. I don't have a cool story. You do. That's a cool story. Yeah. Yeah. Because how you can do so much more with your life, not just your weekends. Like, my weekends used to be, I used to have big dogs, I had Alaskan Malamutes, and it would be about getting in the car and going somewhere with them and doing that and having fun. Yeah, do you want to lie on your couch and be hungover and stare at your ceiling? Not really. No.
I used to get up and have to go and teach classes, and I would be sweating alcohol out of me. Like,
That's no fun.
It's not good. I'm glad I'm attached to this bike with my shoes in my hands. And it's not a real bike going anywhere, it's stationary.
How did you do that?
I really don't know, because even the thought of it now, like, and I was at the Growth Summit the other week and the girls were talking about a night, something that had turned into a big night out a few weeks before, and I was just like, I don't know that I missed that.
No.
Like, it's...
Yeah, I always feel really grateful for my decision on a Monday, Tuesday, when people are like, oh, my head's so sore and I don't even know what I did at the weekend. I'm like, that's not a way to live your life at all. You can do better.
Yeah.
Do better.
So what is there anything else you want to talk about today?
I don't know.
Well, so your online clients that you work with, who is it that you work with? Is it women? What age? Like, who's your target audience?
So my clients they're all women. I don't, I think they repel men, not on purpose. Something about me. This is your natural talent I have for not attracting men. But yeah. Oh, great. Yeah, so they're all women and they're all really nice. They're all super friendly. I think I've got to the stage where I sort of weed people out if I think I'm not going to get on well with someone. I'm like, no, we can't work together. So yeah, I think the sort of 35 to 55 is, you do that sort of business avatar thing. Who's your ideal client? It would be 35 to 55, which isn't to say I haven't, coached people a wee bit younger, a wee bit older. I have.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're kind of fed up, feeling fed up with feeling fed up with, there's a kind of mix of people that have been overweight for a while, and this is the first thing they try. They've not really known what they wanted to do. And then I have people that are like super confused. They've tried lots of different diets. They have so many different ideas and opinions that came from different places. And it's like they don't know what to do or where to start. And very often what I hear from most of my clients, certainly recently, is that they don't feel like they can lose weight. They're like, I don't want to lose weight anymore. I can't do that. I just want to get healthy. I just want to feel better.
Yeah.
But then they do start to lose a little bit of weight when you stop thinking about it. Because I think when you are trying to lose weight, it's like, right, let's go and have like a cabbage soup diet or doing a juicing thing or a cleansing thing. And it's, you're never going to lose weight doing that. But when they've stopped thinking about that and just focus on getting healthy, then the weight falls off. And then they'll say, oh, my weight just fell off. Like, I've lost half a stone. I wasn't even trying. That's amazing. And then they get that self-belief and that confidence of, maybe I can lose weight. And then they'll say, oh, maybe I could lose like another half stone.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, well, I did that, so let's go and lose a whole stone now. And then they start to dream big. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to be fit by 40 and I'm going to do this, that, and the next thing. And that's pretty cool. I think changing your body is easy. Just changing your mind around it is the tougher part. And that's what's more fun for me when I see people do that. And just people dressing differently and going out when they wouldn't normally go out. And has a client who came to me, she's like, our kids are still young. I think one was nursery and one was primary. But her husband was taking them out at the weekends and they were going camping up hills, big walks, and she hadn't gone with them because she felt she would hold them back and she would be sore and she'd be really unfit and she wouldn't be able to do it. And she was quite embarrassed about it as well. So we got her doing that. And then,
Amazing.
yeah. And then she lost a whole lot of weight after that. But, yeah.
Yeah, because she gets to be more active then. So do you do quite a lot of mindset coaching with your clients then, when you're saying about it's easy to change the body, it's harder to change the minds?
Yeah. I
Do you do
think so. I think so. It's not intentional.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, because I think you could change your body physically, but if you're not changing your mind at the same time, you're going to go back to the way you were. And that's kind of my problem with, and you'll have the same issue with fat clubs and diets and stuff. You can do the diet and you can lose weight, but then what do you do after that? Because you're either on a diet or you're eating the way you were before. You don't know how to live your life in a really great, healthy way that, you know, you shouldn't be dieting to the point where you think you couldn't maintain that for long term. It should just be a way of living that's really healthy and great, and you feel great all the time. And it does my head in. So when people are, I'm on a rant now, like, oh, I always wait for Christmas, or I always wait for my holiday. And it's the same people every single year, they're on it again. And I'm like, could you please just lose weight and stay there? You know that's an option, right? It's just
much easier for us.
Like, you can just always be holiday ready, because if someone came to me and said we're going to Dubai tomorrow, I'd be like, brilliant, amazing, nothing to wear, but I'm there, I'm going, you know. And there's other people that would be like, oh no, I can't go, you know. They would be too paranoid about going on holiday suddenly. So I need to get my body ready for the beach and all these things, and it would freak them out. And that's no way to live your life. It really isn't.
Yeah. And I think the way that you approach things, and because you're quite matter of fact and direct with your approach, people are learning from you.
Yeah.
So while you're saying you don't really do mindset coaching, you probably are all the time, because you're like, what are you talking about? And you're just doing it in that very, I would say, Glasgow way of that the words that you're saying are not making any sense.
Yeah, my clients, people that like me, my friends, they like my direct approach. Lots of people don't like it. Lots of people don't, because I call people out on their bullshit, and that is my personality. It's something that I do in and out of my job. It's the way I am. My mum hates it. My mum tells me this is a problem, and I'm like, do you know what? At this stage of my life, it's just, I'm turning it into a positive, hopefully. But yeah, I have a very low tolerance for bullshit. I'm like, really? And I question things. And I think I hated school, and my school teachers hated me because I would question everything. And I was told that was talking back and I was being argumentative and you should just sit and respect your elders and all that kind of stuff. And then I got to uni and I could ask questions and encourage you asking questions, and debate and tutorials were all about big arguments and playing devil's advocate and all. I loved it. Like, this is amazing. This is what I was born to do, have arguments over stuff. I just question everything is so much fun. So I really enjoy it, and I think online has a much bigger impact on someone than a 45-minute PT session, because you only get them for that 45 minutes, and you can give them a little bit of homework, and you can talk to them about nutrition and lifestyle and sleep and water and all of those things in that time. But then you're only seeing them maybe twice a week, and you're putting them through another 45 session. You don't know what they're off doing. So I think that online coaching is a lot more about the whole person, the whole life, the whole everything, and it has a bigger, deeper, more meaningful impact on people. And that's fun.
I'm just thinking, I've never worked with an online coach like that. How does that work? Do they get a workouts to do, nutrition plans, contact with you, or like, how does that online coaching program work?
Yeah, so when someone joins, they get a consultation. So I keep it quite simple because I'm all about simple. So I basically just use a Google form, and you go through it, and it's designed to make you stop and think and ask yourself some questions and probe a little bit deeper into things. As well as just saying, so like, you know, have you got any injuries? What exercise do you like? What do you not like? It's no point me programming something people don't like, so I'm not going to do it. And then I use, you might be familiar with my PT Hub, the app that has 1,000 million trillion exercises on it. So I program from that. And then for one-to-one clients, each program is made for that person. So whether they tell me they're good at exercise, they've never done it before, or they work out home, or they have a whole gym, like it's made for them. And they can access it on that. And I love that because they can press start and then they can record their own weights. And also say they had a leg press machine and that wasn't available that day, they can change that. So it's really great. I send them a whole guide on their nutrition and all of those things. And we have a call. So every month we would have a call together and it's, okay, how's your month going and how's it going to go? And we set like little habits and little targets. Everyone gets calories and protein because everyone wants it. At the start, everyone will say, give me a number for calories. Yeah. So give the number for calories. And then we work on food choice and how you're not going to count calories forever because that's not fun and you can't live like that. You need flexibility and freedom in your life. So we work on the food choice and portions and getting protein every meal. The basics, like the stuff we talked about, the simple stuff that works. Yeah. They get a little check-in every week that no one ever does. So it tends to be WhatsApp. It's like your written check-in is there. I've gone to the time to make this check-in for you, and you don't do it. Okay.
I know the experience. You're like, are you still there? Yeah. Are you doing the work?
I know. So it's like, so after like the monthly call, I will do like a little check-in for each person that is just their check-in made for them, and they still don't do it. But we do chat on WhatsApp constantly, like throughout the week. Most days of the week, people are sending messages. Now, I genuinely want to know when you do a workout. Please tell me, like, you're not bothering me. I want to know. I want to hear, like, I'm in the gym today. Like, that's exciting to me. You know, you're not bothering me. Yeah, and I create things like one of my one-to-one clients, she's got a dodgy knee, so that was me creating a video for her this morning on that. So it's very much about what you need. Like there's resources I have on everything, and if I don't have it and you need it, I'll create it. It's really about supporting someone through it and making sure they're not wasting time doing crap that isn't going to work. Mm-hmm. You know, not just because you're wasting time and you're wasting money, but you're then going to feel really rubbish and it's going to affect your confidence and you're not going to get results. You know, and I just hate that. There's so many cons. Like, you'll know from a certain Facebook group, people will be like, I want to lose 20 stone and I'm going on holiday tomorrow. And then, right, we know what we'd say to that. But then we'd be like, I took these tablets, and I'm not saying that I get any money from selling these tablets, but you should totally take these tablets, and here's an affiliate link. It's like, oh my God. So, yeah. But right. Yeah.
You're up against it. It sounds like your online program is very personalised, because I think some of the programs out there, you can sign up for them and it's quite generic, or it's maybe more where there's a group of people all sign up and it's like, well, here's a yoga class, here's a Pilates class, here's a whatever. You pick and choose what you want to do from it. It sounds like yours is like really personalised.
Yeah, my one-to-one is super personalised. It's quite intense for people. It's a lot. So I'm creating an 8-week plan, and that is in response to a lot of people I know, particularly in the gym, that are doing most of the things, but they're not quite getting the results that they want. But they're quite self-motivated. They don't need as intense coaching. They don't need as much of an education around things or as much chat and support. But they do need a little bit of fine-tuning. So maybe they're going to the gym, but they're not taking care of their diet, or they've got the diet nailed, but they haven't done the exercise yet. So it's an 8-week plan, and it's going to be, you get a little bit of a consultation at the start. I then give you workouts similar to one-to-one, but slightly more generic. And it will be like home beginner to advanced and intermediate, and same for gym, and you can choose which ones suit you. There will be a little check-in halfway through. We'll have a call, chat similar to how we're chatting now. And then I'll check in with you, in a written check-in at the end, see how you got on. So it's just giving people that here's what to focus on for the next 8 weeks. Because you tell me at the start what you're doing at the moment, what results you're not getting that you want to get. And I'm like, right, go and do this and you'll get it. And at the end of the 8 weeks, they're going to say, right, got it, thank you. Hopefully they'll say, yeah, I want to do that again. I've got a next goal. Because people's goals change once they've achieved what they wanted to initially. They'll have something else they want to do. So that's for people that are a little bit more independent, are already doing some of the things. They just need that little hand, but they don't need a personal trainer. They don't need a one-to-one coach. They just need a little bit of, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? Like, there'll be something. Yeah. And then the membership is just a fun sort of social thing. It's based on habits. And everyone, whether you're one-to-one or on the 8-week plan or a monthly member, you get put in that group, and it's really friendly, it's supportive. People share food, which is great because I can't cook. And we do tips and stuff. Like, I will share what I've burned that week. Or like there's just a tub of meal prep. I'm like, yeah, I've got my spoon in the meal prep, eating the gold. I have no standards.
That's funny.
Yes, I feel it's good because I feel like now I've got something for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I quite like. I do quite like that. So, yeah.
So when, I know you said that you were going to have your 8-week thing launched at the beginning of May, and it's...
Yes, so I was going to launch it on the 4th or 5th of May, and it is the 7th.
So, any day now. So this podcast will probably go out on the 9th of May 2025, so it will be pending anytime soon.
I'm not liking this amount of pressure.
So
Sweat.
to take the pressure off, then where do people go to find you and to find out information about this when it does launch?
So I am on Instagram and I am on LinkedIn, and I have a website, so I'm in the middle of writing that to change things. So it's www, because I can't figure out how to take that bit off. I have tried. PamelaLFitness.com. So Pamela L Fitness everywhere. I'm going to start shouting about it because I think that'll help me meet my own self-imposed deadline that I have not met so far. Yeah. I don't know what happened to April. Some of the months, some of the weeks, just I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to January, February, March, April. I'm like, what? We're nearly at the middle of May. How did that happen?
Yeah, I remember February. I remember March. I don't really know what happened to the rest of the year. Yeah,
it is flying in. I'm super excited for your program launching and the fact that you're now fully online and it's working for you.
I know. I teach circuits and spin, but that's for other people.
Mm-hmm. So
that's quite nice. There's no big heavy responsibility or anything there. I just show up, do the class, leave. That's nice. I do it because it's fun. And I do care about having an impact on more people. Like, that is quite important to me. Yeah.
It's a nice way to get out and have more people know who you are as well, like the community classes.
Yeah. And one of them's in a gym down the road, and I have had clients come from that, which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
I don't know. I don't think so.
We'll see if anything comes to mind. We can always do a second one.
Okay.
So thank you so much for being on the podcast today, Pamela.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been amazing.
I will put a link into the show notes with the information of how to find you.
Cool. And hopefully when they do find me, there will be some things that look good. Because right now it's a little bit like, I've got work to do.
There definitely will be. Yeah,
I have 2 days. Thanks.